Hey there, welcome to Radio Face. As always, my name is Daniel Trinham, and I will be your host. It is truly an honor that you have decided to tune in for today's episode, and I hope that you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed creating it. Before we begin today's episode, I want to let you know that this show is in no way affiliated with the other show that I host, The Third Seat. However, if you'd like to check out The Third Seat, then you can find the information and links for it in the description of today's episode. I think you will really enjoy it as well, so I highly recommend you check it out. Along with this, you can find all other links to my social media accounts, as well as any necessary information for any guests that may join me on the show, or myself, down in the description of today's episode. With all that being said, I want to thank you again for listening in to today's episode. Now let's jump into the conversation. All right, well, on today's episode, I am joined by someone that I've been really looking forward to talking with for a while now. I've been following some of the work that she does along with some of her coworkers here in the Chattanooga area, and I have been really looking forward to talking to you and everything that you got going on. So, Brianna, thank you for joining me today.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming. So, I know that we've spoken a little bit about, who you are and what you do, but just for those that are listening that may not know about you and the work that you do and just how you got to where you are, just give a little bit of information about yourself, if you don't mind.
Okay, so my name's Brianna. I work at NOOGAtoday, which is a local newsletter here in Chattanooga that kind of dives into, obviously, kind of news, civics, development, new businesses, lifestyle, kind of everything that's going on here in Chattanooga. Gets sent out Monday through Friday at 6 a.m. And yeah, I have a co-editor and an intern, and it's pretty much the three of us that kind of work on that every week. I actually started as an intern there when I was in college here at UTC, and then eventually I was able to move into an editor position, which is where I am now.
Nice. So how long have you been working with NOOGAtoday?
So let's see. I was an intern for about 2 years, and then I just hit the 1 year mark of working full time as an editor.
Nice.
So about 3 years.
Nice. Awesome. So you've been at it for a little while now.
Yeah, a little bit.
Nice. So is like journalism and a field of this nature something that you've always wanted to do or always had an interest in working in?
No. So my freshman year of college, I thought that I was going to become a criminal minds type FBI agent.
Like an actual one or like on the show?
Oh, an actual one. And then I realized I could never even hold a gun, let alone use it. So I quickly switched to English, and then I actually met my mentor, Chloe Morrison, who was a former editor at NOOGAtoday.
Yeah.
And she was teaching a journalism class that I took, and basically the rest is history. I love journalism, and since then I've been wanting to go into it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so this is like your first real experience in this field, like outside of college? Like you haven't really worked anywhere else beyond where you're at right now?
No, yeah. NOOGAtoday is kind of where I've been and where I'm going now.
Awesome. That's great. That's awesome. So yeah, so what I know we talked a little bit about it before we started here, but my idea for this episode is to largely capture. So I guess a little bit of backstory. Like I'm not from Chattanooga. Are you from Chattanooga originally?
Originally Memphis. Actually.
Oh wow.
Memphis,
Okay.
Tennessee.
You're even farther away than I am. So I'm from like an hour up the road. Do you by chance know where Athens, Tennessee is?
Athens. I've heard of it. I may have passed through it.
Well, okay. You know where Knoxville is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like right in between Knoxville and Chattanooga, like a halfway. So you've probably driven by it if you've gone to Knoxville, but there's not a ton to see there, so I don't blame you. But yeah, whenever I came to Chattanooga almost 4 years ago, which is weird to think about, I'd been here before, but I mean, I wasn't a local. I knew of like, the aquarium and like the kind of the staples in the area, like the things that everybody knew about, but I didn't really know much beyond that. I just knew that I liked the city, and honestly, there weren't a lot of people from my high school coming to UTC, so I was like, I want to go down there because it's going to force me to meet new people. And so I came down here, and I kind of just had to figure my way around the city and learn about it and learn what made it special to me. And I whenever that process was really interesting for me. Like, for instance, something I did, when was it? It was like my sophomore year. Every weekend, I would force myself to go to a new restaurant in the area just to try it out and just see if I liked it. It was really fun, but like I had like a running list of restaurants and I was like, these are good, these are, but like I got to learn through experience, but I didn't really have like a guide to show me like, oh, here's where you should go and here's what you should check out and here's like the areas that are not as known or not as well known that you should visit. And whenever I eventually came across the work that you and Kristen and the team over at NOOGAtoday, what they do over there, I was like, somebody needs to like, if anybody could give an accurate description of like Chattanooga and what makes it special and what they enjoy about it and kind of this like strangers or travelers guide to Chattanooga, it's you all. Like this is literally what you all do for a job, know? And so I was like, okay, I need to talk to them about this. And so that's kind of what I want to try and frame this episode around is specifically looking, I mean, there's all different kinds of, if you've never been to Chattanooga, I mean, there's all different kinds of areas and surrounding areas, but specifically for the purpose of this conversation, focusing on the downtown area, the St. Elmo area, the East Ridge, and the Hamilton Place area, because that's kind of like the southern point. Or if you want to look at it that way, it's kind of like everything below the river,
Sure.
And so that's kind of what I wanted to do for this episode, because I think that with the growing popularity of Chattanooga, I mean, from what I've seen, there's been only increases in the amount of people moving and living here. And obviously, like, there's a lots of new housing going up in the area. And so it's obviously like a growing area. But there's not really, at least as far as I know, like, there's not like a guide for anybody to come here and like to know where to go or what, the locals, quote unquote, would recommend.
Sure.
And so, I just want to talk to you today about everything regarding that, Chattanooga, why you like it, what's special about it to you, and kind of what your guide for a traveler coming into Chattanooga would be.
Oh, all right. Yeah. This is a fun mission. And I think it's really funny because I mean, like I said, I'm originally from Memphis and I came here for college, and I was just really fortunate to get the internship at NOOGAtoday because that was kind of like you had your own process of learning the city. That was my process of learning everything about the city.
Yeah.
I mean, I had mentors who had been here. I mean, Chloe's been here for years. She's been a journalist here for years.
Yeah.
So I had her as a mentor, and I had a job that really allowed me forced me to learn about everything happening in the city. So, I was really fortunate to have that and to learn so much about it through the internship. And now, of course, every day I learn something new about Chattanooga. Yeah. I'm never going to know everything. As much as I like to think that I do, I never will.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But I'm excited. So I guess we can start. Where do you want to start? What, a certain part, a certain theme?
So I think that for most people where they would want to start, which we will get to it eventually, but I think for most people where they would want to start is downtown, because like that's like the most well-known area. You've got like the aquarium, specifically on the south of the river side, or I think that's correct. But, you've got the aquarium and just the whole downtown area. Like that's the most, what I think is like when people that are not from Chattanooga, like what they immediately think of.
Yes.
But a little like hidden gem, in my opinion, is the St. Elmo area. I love that area. I was recently, well, I say recently, maybe like a month or two back, I was recently down there for the Corgi Parade that they had,
my goodness,
which I saw that you all posted about it on NOOGAtoday, and I was like, this area, like, I don't know how well known this area is. I was like, it's like, I don't know. It's just like the cutest little area I've ever been in, and I love it. And so I think first, and like I would love to talk about just that area in general, because I would imagine that, I mean, I didn't know about St. Elmo until I had been here for like 2 years. Like it's not like talked about all that much because it's kind of hidden back and behind. It's like at the foot of like the mountain. Yeah, look, I was like, it's not Signal. It's like at the foot of Lookout Mountain, and it's not like, a big flashy area, but like there's a lot of really cool stuff over there. And so we can just start there if you want to.
Yeah, that's a great starting point, I think. St. Elmo is amazing. I agree. The Corgi Parade is incredible. I'm so glad that it returned this year. So cute to see that.
Yes.
So St. Elmo, like you said, it's like a hidden in plain sight gem, I would say. Because, I mean, like you said, visitors, when they come here, they come to more of the downtown, the south side, the North Shore area, I think. But St. Elmo is really cool. It has a lot of historic homes, which I love, that are just so beautiful. And like you said, there's a lot to do in the area. I mean, the Incline Railway is there, which I think if tourists do come and stop in that area, that's probably their number one spot to go. And of course, there's a Clumpy's location there. You have to get a Clumpy's ice cream here in town. I feel like a ride on the incline in Clumpy's in St. Elmo are kind of like some must stops.
Yeah, yeah. It's like getting a churro at Disneyland, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I'm sad that Mojo Burrito was there for so long.
They're changing it into something else, aren't they?
They are. I was gonna say, when one door closes, another opens, because I'm sad that is closing. But so some great Chattanooga chefs, Eric and Amanda Neal. They own Main Street Meats. They own Easy Bistro. They're opening a spot in that location, and the location is amazing. I mean, it's got like the rainbow steps leading up to it, a great outdoor area. And they're starting up something new there to open, I believe, in 2023. So I'm really excited to see that pop up in that area, which I think will be really, really neat. Let's see, what else is awesome over there? Oh, the Tap House is amazing.
So so I don't know if is that the one that's like literally right in the center of everything right there?
Yeah, it's right in the center. It's in that building that holds a lot of different businesses. And it's on the bottom. And it's a brewery and a bar. They recently expanded their offerings and celebrated 5 years of being open, which is just amazing. And they've got some awesome things. We recently spoke with the owner, who made the claim that he thinks they have the best burger in Chattanooga. So
I know that's like a point of contention. Like whenever I learned that there was like a legit competition for like the best burger in the city, I was told that it was Tremont Tavern over like on Hicks and Pike, I believe. Yes. Which I've had their burgers, they're pretty good. But like I didn't from what I was told, like it's a pretty big deal. It's not just like, oh, we're just gonna give this award to whoever. Like it's a big deal. It's not just, some little award that means nothing. So like I get it. I understand why that would be a big deal for them,
Right. So that's definitely something to check out, especially if you're a big burger eater. Check out the Tap House. Is a great spot.
Yeah. Something you mentioned, which I wasn't sure, I'm glad that you mentioned it, but I wasn't sure if I was the only one that felt this. But so for those that haven't been to St. Elmo, when you drive in on the main road, or at least the way that I go, you have to drive underneath this bridge, like this small little, I think there's like a railroad that goes over the top of it maybe. You have to drive underneath this bridge, and it's like it gets really narrow for just a brief moment, and then it opens up into like this whole other downtown. Like it's a very small down, like I'm not, not to the size of like the actual downtown of Chattanooga, but it almost feels like you're like going back in time a little bit. So, like that's what it felt like to me, at least. And you talked about like the vintage homes and stuff, like the history in the area. Like it's so completely different from everything else that Chattanooga has going for it that like, to me, whenever I first drove in, like I remember the first time I was there, I was like, "Why has nobody talked about this place? Like this is so cool, It's just, I think it's so interesting because it gives, I don't know what to compare it to, but it just feels like you're kind of going back in time a little bit. Like it's just this hidden little area behind. To me, it's like, you ever seen the Chronicles of Narnia movie? When they step through the closet, they're like, "Oh my goodness, where did this come from?" It's like, when you go into the bridge, you're like, "What? Where did this? What is this doing back here?"
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Yeah, and it's situated right, like you said, right next to Lookout Mountain, which I think is makes it a nice location too, and easy access to a bunch of hikes up there, a bunch of beautiful sights up there, cool things over there, which is nice. And the last thing I want to talk about in St. Elmo, because this place is just so cool, and I feel like you say St. Elmo is a hidden gem, and I agree. And I think this is the hiddenest of gems
if that's a word.
Within St. Elmo. I don't think it is. But the Naughty Cat Cafe.
I was just about to say that. I'm so glad you did.
Oh my goodness. It is amazing.
Yes.
It was actually rated by Google, the world's #1 cat cafe in the world. The whole entire world is here in Chattanooga.
I believe it, honestly. I've never been to any other ones, and I may be a little bit biased, but I 100% agree. I didn't know what you were going to say there, but if you weren't going to say the cat cafe, I was going to be like, you're forgetting one important thing here.
Yes, it's amazing. I mean, I think it's so cool. I feel like very few people know that Chattanooga has the #1 cat cafe in the world.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You go in, you get your coffee, you get your tea, and you just hang out with cats.
I know.
I mean,
it sounds so weird in theory. Like I remember whenever I first heard about it, I thought in my mind, I was like, okay, cat cafe. Like it's going to be, I was thinking like, how like in Key West, there's like the chickens everywhere. Like, have you ever heard
I've never been. No.
Well, okay. Well, if you ever go to Key West, there's like chickens everywhere, just like in the streets and everything.
Oh,
but
okay,
the reason I say that is, I was thinking like, okay, it's gonna be a restaurant. There's gonna be like cats walking around, like in Key West, there's chickens walking around everywhere. Which kind of, to a degree, you can get food there, but like that's not even half of what it is. Like it's such a cool place. And I remember when we first walked in there, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, let's just go in here and see what happens. We had nothing else going on. It was a rainy day outside, and we got there, and again, it sounds so weird, but you get, like you said, you just get to get coffee, tea, whatever whatever you like. They have like baked goods there. You just get to hang out with cats in like this cool, like the coolest little area. I don't even know how to explain it. It's so cool, and you can adopt them too.
Yeah. It's an adoption, and they get so many adoptions there. They're helping clear our shelters by bringing the cats there, and they often will get adopted from the cat cafe. It's so clean too. I know a lot of people. When I told my parents about it, they were like, "Oh, it's got to be disgusting." It's very clean. And actually, when I talked to the owners, they were saying that like they'll have to get rid of a couch like every few months.
I'm sure they do.
Just because of all the cats there. But it's such a wonderful spot. It's definitely a place to see if you're in the St. Elmo area or just Chattanooga. You got to make it.
You really do. Like I'm not just saying this because she said it, but like it is one of my favorite places in Chattanooga. I've only gone one time, which I need to go back again. But that was genuinely one of my favorite days. Like one of my favorite memories of just being here in Chattanooga was going there because you literally just I don't know, you feel like a kid. Like you just get to go and like these cats will just jump up on you and just kind of cuddle up with you, and you can play with them. There's like the little laser pointers everywhere, and it's the coolest little thing. And I have never heard of anything like that anywhere before. Like you said we're the #1 rated cat cafe. I don't know of any other cat cafes anywhere, but whether they exist or not, like I would definitely agree. Like we are the #1. Yes. I don't have to go to any other ones to know that. But yeah, it's such a unique place. Like I don't know. It's so unique and kind of strange sounding, but it's really cool, and I love it there. I loved it, and the fact that they had complimentary coffee makes it even better. 100%. So one other thing I wanted to tell you about, which I wanted to ask about, which I'm glad you brought that up, but a place that I recently went to, I guess I forget exactly when, but is Mr. T's in downtown.
Oh my goodness, Mr. T's, yes! Oh, that's another good place, and I'm glad you brought it up. Mr. T's Pizza and Ice Cream. Yes. I feel like it's such a classic. Yes. It fits the St. Elmo vibe, you know? Yeah. And they also have very good vegan pizza for anyone wondering.
I didn't know that.
They do, yeah. It's delicious. Yeah. And it's a great spot. It's really cool. It's almost like old diner vibes.
Yes.
A little bit. Yeah. And it's a really fun place to go in that area.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, like, if you drive through St. Elmo, you literally can't miss it. There's a giant ice cream cone sticking off the building. Like, you will see it and be like, oh, there's that place that they were talking about. Yeah. So, yeah, if you want to ever kind of feel like you've been transported back into, like, I don't know what decade or what time period, but it's just, like, exactly what you think of when you think of an old pizza diner. Like, it's such a cool place. But yeah, so that's St. Elmo in a nutshell. Definitely, if you're listening, you haven't been, whether you're from Chattanooga or not, go to St. Elmo. It's one of the coolest places you'll go to. Great time. It's a great place. So that from there, like geographically speaking, when you leave from St. Elmo, you can either first you'll hit the interstate, but you can either go on the interstate or it'll take you right into downtown. Correct? From there, I believe, like on is it on Broad Street? I forget. Yeah. Yeah. So you can take Broad Street right into downtown. So now we'll talk about downtown here. So perfect. the kind of the crux of Chattanooga and what everybody really know, what I would imagine most people think of when they think of Chattanooga. Let's just say that you let's start with. I'm a big fan of food, as I imagine most people are, and Chattanooga has a lot of food options here. And you mentioned, a vegan pizza prior, so now I'm thinking about food. But let's say you've got an hour for lunch and you're going downtown. Where are you going to go?
Oh, all right. So Taqueria Jalisco there's a location in Southside, but they've also got a downtown location right over by Miller Park and Miller Plaza. Their hours are a little funky, but if you time it right, you can head there for lunch, and it's delicious. So that's a spot I would absolutely recommend. Let's see, what else for lunch? Downtown. We have a new-ish taco shop that recently opened, and it feels local. It's not local. Yeah. It's called Agave and Rye.
Yes.
And it's really cool. It's got like a bunch of different really colorful murals inside, like chandeliers, loud music.
Yeah.
But their tacos are all really funky and cool, and that spot's right on the river too, which is nice. You can sit out front and have those river views, which is really cool. I'm trying to think of one more good lunch spot.
Or let me give this option to you. What's like a, because something about Chattanooga that I've realized is not every single place is like, a mom and pop owned place, but there's not a ton of like big major chains. The only 2 active restaurant chains I can think of that are still active is Buffalo Wild Wings right by the bridge and Chili's like right down the street from it. It used to be an Applebee's, but it's not there anymore, which I'm not entirely sad about. I have like a personal beef with Applebee's. I'm just not an Applebee's fan, so sorry Applebee's. That's a whole other story, but but what's like a place that, because I think most people will see those places. What's a place to you that like isn't talked about enough? Like most people don't know enough about that, even though it's in downtown. Like, for instance, it's kind of a restaurant, but kind of not really, but you'll get what I mean. A place that like a lot of people that are from here know of, but don't go if you're not from here is Sleepyhead, like Sleepyhead Coffee. I know that's not like a restaurant per se, but they have pastries and stuff. But like it's a cool little place right in the bottom of the James building. Yeah, I was gonna say James building. I have a funny story about that building actually here in just a minute, but yeah, like places like that are fantastic, but are not as well known just because literally right down the road you've got a Starbucks in the bottom of like of the Reed House, Yeah.
Well, Sleepyhead is my favorite. I walk there every day.
Oh, nice.
It's amazing. They've got a really cute spot to sit and work. They've got amazing coffee. They've got amazing food.
Yeah.
It's adorable. So yeah, I'm glad you brought up Sleepyhead. Restaurant wise, I think Sitar Indian cuisine does not get the hype it deserves.
It's so good. Oh my gosh, yes.
It is so delicious. So it's right down, I believe it's on Market Street, right before the bridge.
Yes.
And it is, the most delicious Indian food you will
fantastic.
Ever have. It's amazing. And I don't hear a lot of people talk about it, and it's so delicious. I think it's often looked over. But that's a great spot that I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, so funny story. If any of my friends are listening to this, they're gonna know where this story is going. But I've only been to Sitar one time, but it's fantastic. I agree 100%. Go if you get the chance. But Indian food, from what I can tell, is known for being very spicy, like really, really hot, Sure. And so whenever we went there, I forget exactly what I ordered. They had like, mild, medium, and hot. And everybody told me before, they're like, you just need to get the mild. Like it's like a 10 on like the Western scale. I was like, okay, whatever. But I like spicy food, and so I was like, I want to try this out. And so I was just gonna get there hot and just see what happened, And so, the guy comes over and he's like, hey, what do you want? And I forget what I told him. And he said, okay, would you like mild, medium, or hot? And I said, hot. And he looked at me and he said, no, you want medium. And I said, okay, you're the expert here. I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna get the medium.
I'm glad he told you that, because I can't imagine what would have happened had you gotten the hot. How was the medium?
So it was weird because. So what he did is he put the medium, like he brought the medium dish out, but he said he would put the hot on the side.
Oh.
And so I was like, okay, like at least let me try,
Yeah.
And so I don't mean this to sound like I'm like, oh, like I'm the, like I hate whenever people are like, oh yeah, spicy stuff, it doesn't it doesn't bother me. Like I'm not trying to be that guy, but like I tried out the hot, and like I don't know if they like toned it down for me or something, but it wasn't that bad. Like for me, it was hot. It was, don't get me wrong, it was hot, but like I was expecting to like jump out of my seat or something, and like it wasn't that bad, but it was still pretty hot. So don't get me.
We need to turn this into hot ones.
Well, I don't know. Like I could have just caught him on a weird day or something, but it was funny nonetheless when I initially was like, yeah, I'll have this and I'll have the hot. He looked at me and he was like, no. You're gonna get in the medium, and I was like, okay, if you say so, you're the expert here. But yeah, Sitar is fantastic. I think, which I understand. Like I think people are a little not afraid of it, but they're like, they just don't know what to make of it. Like at least, especially where I grew up, like I'd never had Indian food like where I grew up, and like that's not a common thing around here. And so most people are gonna go to like get a burger or something because they don't know what to make of like Indian food, But no, it's fantastic. And then we got the naan when we went there, which I don't even know what naan is, but it's like Indian garlic bread or something. It was so good.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's very unassuming on the outside as well. So I think that contributes to people looking over it.
Yeah.
Am I allowed to talk about Southside, or are we? Is
Oh,
that
go
a
for
different
it.
section?
No, go for it. And pretty much anything below the river, pretty much.
Okay, because there's some good spots
Yes.
in Southside.
Southside's unique. It's a really unique area.
Yeah, I think Southside has just grown so much. And I mean, if we're still talking lunch spots, Kenny's is a great spot.
I haven't been there yet, but I really want to go there.
Yeah, got great sandwiches. They change up their menu every once in a while, and it's really delicious, and that's a good local spot. And of course, the Monins, who own like 5 different restaurants here in Chattanooga. They've got, trying to think.
Are they the ones that own the like the Bitter Alibi? Is that them, or is that somebody else?
That's someone else. Yeah,
okay, I was like, I knew somebody owned like 3 different places around here, but I wasn't sure who it was.
So this is different. This is so the Monins own Taco Mamacita, Community Pie.
Yes. Okay.
Really good spot. Urban Stack, Clyde's.
Yes.
All those fun spots. I mean, and those are all fantastic options.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So Clyde's and Urban Stack have amazing burgers. Clyde's also does live music often, which is really fun. And then Community Pie, amazing pizza. I know I already talked about vegan pizza, but they've got great vegan pizza too.
Yeah.
And Taco Mamacita, that's I'm trudging into Kristen's North Shore territory. But
It's okay.
They've got great tacos there.
Yeah. No, I definitely 100%. I second everything you just said. One of my favorite places in all of Chattanooga, and it may just be because like I don't know why. I don't know what it is exactly about this place that I love so much, but I love Need Loves. Need Loves is like my favorite. I love Need Loves so much. I don't know. I'm a big fan of bagels, which I've mentioned this before. Like I don't know what it is about bagels, but I just love bagels. And I don't know what it is about them, but like I had the best bagel of my life from Need Loves. I remember I ate it and I was like, this is something about this is different. Like it is so good.
Was it
and
the everything bagel?
Yeah. It was just their like everything bagel. I was like, what?
I think it's fennel.
I don't know. I was like, what is this? Like, what did they do to this? But it was so good. Like, and it's really not too expensive either because they make it all in house. Like, they're not paying anybody else to like have their bread shipped to them or anything. Like, they make it all in house, and it's so good. Oh my gosh, I love Need Loves.
Well, they were also. I'm bringing out all the rankings knowledge that I have. Makes me sound so nerdy, but they were ranked by I think 2 different places. I know Garden and Gun featured them, and I want to say Southern Living. Like best bread in the state. Yeah. So they
I believe it.
Definitely know what they're doing over there. And yes, their everything bagel is the best bagel that you will ever have.
It is fantastic, 100%. They make so much good stuff, and they sell like you don't have to buy it like you can buy like loaves and take it home with you like if you want to as well, which is great. But right next to there's like a string of like 3 restaurants right next to each other. I think they're all right next to each other right there. But you've got Need Loves, and then State of Confusion is right beside them, I believe, which is kind of becoming more well known, at least from what I've seen. Like more people that I wouldn't expect to know about State of Confusion are like people from out of town, I guess, have gone there a lot. But you've got Need Loves and then State of Confusion. And then a place that's kind of unassuming is Slicks right next to. Have you been to Slicks before?
Yeah, the burger spot.
Yes. Slicks is really cool, at least just in the like the way it looks. Like it's this old like trailer almost. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's a really cool area. Really, if you go down East Main Street, like there's not a bad place to go, really.
Oh no, not at all.
There's so many unique places down there. So definitely 100%. If you're looking for any and all food, like go East Main Street down the south side, which is where closely located to it right now. But so we talked about food a little bit. So what is let's say you've gone through the work week and it's Friday night, Saturday night. What are you going to do just for fun? Like me, I've been told that I'm a bit of a grandpa. Like I just kind of stay in and like read books and cook food sometimes. But not speaking for myself, but like what are some things that people can do after they've eaten or maybe before they've eaten? Like they want to go out and just have some fun. What would you say in all those areas would you recommend for somebody to take place?
Well, I suppose this would be a good time to plug NOOGAtoday's Plan Ahead calendar.
Hey, you go for it. Go for it. Plug away.
So every month we aggregate a ton of events happening in the Chattanooga area, and we have them. We feature events every day in our newsletter, but we also feature them all on the events page on our website. Yeah. So if you're ever looking for something to do on a weekend and you want to go to some type of event, whether it be live music or a pop-up or a shopping event, anything, it'll probably be on our website.
And I'll put. Is there a link for that somewhere?
There is, yeah. I can send it your way.
Okay, well, I will make sure to put that in the description. So if you want to check out what they're doing, then go over there. But yeah, feel free to plug away. Go for it. But yeah, anyways, as you're saying.
So first and foremost, I would check the plan ahead calendar.
Yes.
But just for kind of something you can do on any day without a particular event popping up. Let me see. I mean, there's always so much going on in Chattanooga. I love Cooper's Alley. I think Cooper's Alley is such a fun spot. So it's between Market Street and Cherry Street. Have you ever been to Unknown Caller or Cherry Street Tavern?
I think so. I'm blanking now. I know where it's at. I'm blanking now, but I know where it's at. I'm just yes.
Yeah. So in that alley, it's really cool. I think that it just happened a few years ago where there's an art installation in there that's really cool. And then there's a lot of like different graffiti type artwork on the walls as well, which is awesome. And then there's 2 bars back there. So there is Unknown Caller, which used to be London Calling, and then there is Cherry Street Tavern. And both of them are great. Both of them have a very different vibe. I feel like Cherry Street is kind of your more relaxed hangout bar. They also do a lot of live music there at Cherry Street, which is great. And then Unknown Caller is more of an upscale type of like cocktail bar, that kind of scene. And it's a speakeasy type bar. So you can enter through on Cherry Street. There's what looks like an old phone booth. So you enter through there and you go down the long
I know exactly
hallway.
what you're talking about. Yeah.
And then you can go through there. But so the entrance is awesome, but the back is also awesome because you're in this amazing alley where both these bars and all this cool artwork. So I love Cooper's Alley. There's often fun events happening back there as well.
Is that the alley with like it's got like the green little art?
Yeah, that's the one.
That's what I thought it was. I was like, I don't know if that's the one or not, but I don't want to sound stupid and think that's what it is. But yeah, it's okay. Now I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes, that is such a cool area. They recently did like a fashion show or something.
They did like an upcycled fashion show with like upcycled materials, I think, which is really neat. There's a bunch of pop-up events that happen there. And even if there's not an event going on back there, it's just fun to
It's a
hang
really
out.
cool area. Yeah, 100%. So I didn't know that area exists, and I forget when it was. I was still in school, but my girlfriend and I, we went down. We were just walking around down there, and we found. I guess it was Unknown Caller, and we found like that little. It was in the middle of the day, so I don't think they were open. But we found like the telephone booth. We're like, oh, this is kind of interesting. And then we walked around, and we were like, oh, like we found that alley, and we just kind of stumbled upon it. Like it's such a cool little area. You know, there's is that the alleyway with like the little glass shingle things above you?
It's called Urban Chandelier, and that's kind of like an offshoot of Cooper's Alley. And they're both just really, really neat.
Yeah, and Chattanooga has a lot of which is kind of funny to say, but they have a lot of really, really unique and interesting alleyways, which I know that sounds weird to anyone that's not doesn't live in a city or isn't from Chattanooga. Like, why would you want to just walk through an alleyway? But there are really some really interesting alleyways that I guess have been repurposed just from, a bland old alleyway to like these kind of modern art pieces to a degree,
Yeah, absolutely. I actually recently ran an article on all the cool alleyways here in Chattanooga. Yeah, we've got Cooper's Alley, we've got Umbrella Alley, we've got that amazing alley in Bluffview Arts District with a little like pond in the middle. So we've got a lot of cool alleyways that are really fun to walk through, and they're usually around something else. So it's not just like you're going out of the way just to walk through an alley. You know?
100%.
So so Cooper's Alley would be one thing I would definitely do on a weekend. Something else, I really like to go to like theater, musicals, and stuff like that. And we've got so much great theater here in Chattanooga. Obviously, we have our Broadway lineup at Memorial Auditorium, which is amazing. I just went and saw Hairspray, and it was
How was that?
It was very good.
Nice.
It was very good. And I'm really looking forward to. They recently released the next year's Broadway lineup too, which I'm so pumped about. But that's great. We've also got a really cool newer theater company in town called Obvious Dad.
I heard about that. I saw where you all were posting stuff about that. I didn't know what it was, but I was like, this is an interesting name. Like,
they're so cool over there, and they do. So they're not musicals. They're more like straight theater. But I mean, they just do amazing work, and they they like to do it. Their slogan is theater but different, so it's just a little different. It's very raw. It's amazing work that they do, and they just wrapped up their first show of the season, so their next one will be coming in a bit, and I'm really excited to see it. So they're amazing. Obviously, we've got the Chattanooga Theater Center always putting great shows on. I mean, there's tons of great theater here in Chattanooga. So I really like to do that, and then I feel like I gotta finish with another thing.
Well, here I'll give you something here that I think every time I go, especially around the fall, winter, into like the holiday season, gets a lot of attention. But even kind of year round, especially on the weekends, it gets a lot of attention. Is like the area surrounding the Chattanooga Choo Choo, like the whole train station. There's a new restaurant recently opened up over there, I believe, in the old terminal building.
Was it Boneyard Bar? Or
no, it's where the Terminal Brew House used to be.
A new brewery popped up there. Shoot, what's it called?
I forget what is it called? Tailgate?
It's called Tailgate.
Yeah. So Tailgate just opened up where the old terminal building used to be, it's still there. The building is still there, but the terminal, the restaurant used to be. But in the actual, like the old train station, the choo-choo building, whatever you want to call it, I always see a lot of people, especially around the holidays, because there's that big ice rink back there. Like people are walking in and out and taking pictures and doing all kinds of stuff. And just that area in general, I think is really cool because across the street, you've got all kinds of businesses right across the street where you can do really anything. I mean, there's all kinds of restaurants and little shops and stuff. And I think that area is really, really cool, Yeah.
The Chattanooga Choo Choo is awesome. It's definitely a place to check out. Again, like you said, around the holidays, they've got an ice rink out back, which is really fun. And they even so if you go out the back and kind of along the wall on the side, they've got a bunch of cool murals over there. My favorite is the Harry Potter 9 3/4.
Oh, no, I haven't seen that one. That's nice.
Yeah, it's fun. You have to walk down a little bit. And then also in that building is Songbird's Guitar Museum, which is amazing. So actually, it was Songbird's Guitar Museum, shut down for the pandemic, and then Songbird's Foundation kind of came back, brought it back to life, revitalized it, and it's a really neat museum. They've got really cool stuff there, and it's really cool to check out. And actually, they just had a film release that was nominated or won in a big award, an Emmy Award, I believe, about that whole process of the Songbirds Guitar Museum shutting down, Songbirds Foundation coming back. Yeah,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so they do really cool stuff over there, and it's a really cool spot to check out.
Nice.
In that area.
Awesome, cool. So I have a kind of funny story to accompany this next question I want to ask you, but I think it'll be useful because this is something that everybody that I've ever been around in Chattanooga eventually wants to know about, but it's not obvious when you're first there. So the story will tie into it. But I guess it was on a weekend one day. It was just me. Like none of my, it was over the summer. So like a lot of my, friends from school had gone home, and I was just kind of the only person here. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to go walk around and see what happens. Like I'm just going to go walk around and check some stuff out. And so we mentioned Sleepyhead earlier. I was like, I'm gonna go to Sleepyhead, get some coffee, hang out there for a little bit, whatever. And so I parked my car outside. I went to Sleepyhead, and you said it was in the James Building, which the James Building is just like an old office building, pretty much. It's in downtown. It's like this 13-story brick building. It's a cool building. But I remember I finished my coffee. I think I probably got a bagel. And I remember I was sitting there. I was like, I still got like 20 minutes on my meter left. Like, I don't really know what I need to do. And I was like, it was on a Saturday. I was like, I'm just going to go explore this building and just see what happens. And so I just started going up, and the elevators are really, the elevators are really cool. If you're ever really bored in Chattanooga and you want to go check out some cool elevators, they're in the James Building. They have really cool elevators. But I was going up, and I was just kind of looking around like, okay, this is kind of cool looking. And I eventually got to the top floor, like the 12th floor, whatever. And I was looking around. I was like, okay, well, I'm at the top floor now. Everybody's gone. Like, nobody's here working. And I noticed that the stairs kept going up. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to check out the stairs. And so I walked up the steps, and I don't know if this was an accident or not, but the door was open. Like, the door onto the roof was open. And I was like, I'm going to go out there and look around. And I don't know if that's allowed or not. If anybody's listening that works at the James Building, I apologize. I didn't break anything, I promise. But if you're ever, I don't know if it's allowed, so I'm not necessarily telling you to go to the top of the James Building or any other building for that matter. But That was one of the coolest views I'd
Oh,
ever
I
seen,
bet.
because it was just up above everything. Like you could see everything from like behind the interstate. You could see all the mountains, just
Yeah.
everything else, like the whole city. And I remember stopping up there. I was like, is this real? Like, did I just find, like, how did I get up here? And
Oh,
so
my goodness.
really, it was really cool experience getting to go up there, which again, I think it was by accident. I don't know if they just forgot to lock it or something, but it just kind of happened that way. But my question for you is, what are some good like viewpoints in or places, like not necessarily just like, I immediately think of like sunrises and sunsets, but like that along with just, in the middle of the day, maybe like what are some areas that are just cool to go and check out and see and just be in,
Yeah.
an area for me, if you want to go see the sunrise, I think if you ever go to the art district and you look over the bridge right there on a clear day, it's absolutely beautiful. And that's a beautiful area in and of itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are some like good view, like in your opinion, like your favorite, viewpoints or areas to go and just check out and just kind of be present in the moment right there in that area?
That's a good question. You had a perfect lead in for that one, didn't you?
I'd been saving that story for a while.
It works perfectly. One that I really particularly like is Stringer's Ridge, which Stringer's Ridge just itself is amazing.
Yeah.
It's this full park full of trail system right 10 minutes from downtown Chattanooga.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't get that many places. I think it's such a gem. And Chattanooga is obviously known for its outdoor scene where like in 25 minutes you can be on top of a mountain, which is great. But this place is literally, I mean, if you have like a lunch break, you can go and take a hike.
Yeah.
So I love that. But there's a particular spot on one of the trails where you can just look out and see the entire city.
Yeah.
And it's just beautiful. Honestly, you can see the bridges, the river, everything, and I absolutely love that spot, especially because it's so accessible to people in the city. Another one of my favorites is the Raccoon Mountain Reservoir Loop.
Yes.
Oh,
that
man.
place is really cool.
I
Yes.
constantly tell people to go there. It's amazing. So up on Lookout Mountain, TVA has this reservoir loop, and basically you can just if you're afraid of heights or really narrow roads, be warned when you're driving. It's not that bad, but I feel like a disclaimer is necessary.
Yeah.
But you can just drive on this single lane road all around the reservoir, and the mountain views there are just stunning.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people will go there and kind of like take pictures of the road and stuff because it's beautiful.
Yeah. And it just opens up. Like there's nothing obstructing your view, especially around sunset. Like it's just everything is right in front of you. And it's free, isn't it? I believe it's free.
It's free. It's completely free. Yeah. So that spot is fantastic. And then last one I'll mention, and I feel like this one is kind of a little bit of a hidden gem too.
Yeah.
So if you go up Signal Mountain, and if you go up from Signal Mountain Boulevard, so you pass the Walmart and all that, and you go up that way.
Yeah.
And you basically continue on that road until I think it becomes Taft Highway. I'll need to. You can double check me on that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Somebody can double check us later. But
Sure, I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
But essentially, you continue on that road for a while.
Yeah.
And you get to the other side of the mountain. There's a pull off for a view, and so you pull off and you can park, and then there are stairs leading down to a view, and it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite spots in Chattanooga, and yeah, I think that's a great spot to check out for sure. And not as many people know about that one, I think.
Yeah. One that I know a lot of people, at least it seems like to me, a lot of people know about is Sunset Rock.
Yes.
Which Sunset Rock is really nice, especially if you go around sunset. Sunset time, hence the name. But the weird thing about Sunset Rock is I think it's on Lookout Mountain, I believe. And when you go to it, it's like in the middle of this really kind of upscale neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like it's the weirdest place. You would not think that like this overlook, you're expecting like a hiking trail or something like that, but as you're driving up to it, there's just like all these houses, like these really nice houses, just everywhere on top of this mountain, and then just like this tiny little parking lot opens up somewhere, and you're like, is this? At least for us, when we first went there, we were like, is this it? Like, is this where we're going? Like, we didn't really know what we were getting ourselves into, but it doesn't like. The view is really cool. You're like kind of overlooking like there's mountains and plateau. You can see the Cumberland Plateau, I believe, from there. There's like some rail yards and stuff below it. But especially if you go around sunset time, it is really, really cool there, which I'm sure you've been there before.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one really cool place that I know a lot of people, at least that I talk to, that are not from here, like they know about that area in particular,
Yeah, and my favorite way to get there actually, because like you said, the parking lot is tiny.
Yeah.
Not many cars can fit on that parking lot. In fact, my dad, when they visited, I took them over there.
Yeah.
And he tried to park somewhere on the street and got a ticket. So I recommend getting there a little bit before sunset and actually parking at Craven's house, which is at Lookout Mountain. And there's a hike from Craven's house to Sunset Rock.
Nice.
And the hike itself is just amazing.
Yeah.
It's really cool. You might run into some rock climbers on the way to Sunset Rock, but then you end up there, and it's a really beautiful way to get there and not have to worry about the car.
Nice.
Which I like.
Nice, awesome. Okay, and so we've covered St. Elmo downtown. We touched a little bit on Lookout Mountain here. The area that I know a lot of people that are from, at least where I'm from, like they know about, is the Hamilton Place area, which is kind of before you get into downtown, but which I guess it's still technically part of Chattanooga. I don't know where the city limits of Chattanooga start and stop, but for the purpose of this, we're going to include it. And I know a lot of people know about that area obviously because the mall is out there, which it's a pretty nice mall. I was always a bigger fan of Hamilton Place than I was the West Town Mall in Knoxville, so there's a little bit of a rivalry of that in my hometown of which one's better, But yeah, so that area in particular, like I said, I know a lot of people know about that. What do you like? If you're going to go out there and spend some time out there, what are you going to get into while you're out there?
Yeah, so I feel like Chattanooagans know Hamilton Place for being like the busiest part of Chattanooga, the most trafficy part. But there's actually a lot of good things out there. I really enjoy the WXYZ bar, which is on top of the Aloft Hotel.
Okay, I have to. Okay, finish what you're about to say. Then I have to ask you something.
Yeah. So the hotel opened 1 or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's a bar at the top, and it actually has an incredible mural inside by the artist Seven, who's just this amazing local muralist here in Chattanooga. But the drinks are really good. The food is good. It's just a really cool, fun space. And they've also got an outdoor area where you can hang out. So I think that's a fun place. Go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, so you can probably tell I had like a reaction whenever you said that. So, okay, me and my girlfriend have like this running joke where every time we pass by that, we're like, we're gonna go hang out at the WXYZ, but we're like, we don't know what it is. Like, we never knew what it was, and like it's in this hotel, and we're just, I don't know, we've always thought it's kind of funny. Like I always poke fun at it, but like I'm seeing pictures of it, and it actually looks like a really cool place. Like, to me, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this is just some random thing that like a hotel is throwing in. It's like it's like you hear of a hotel, they're like, yeah, you get free continental breakfast, but then it's like a waffle and some fruit. Like, it's not really anything crazy. So I was like, okay, it's probably not going to be anything that worthwhile. Like, it's just some random thing that they threw in. But like, I hear people talk about it. I'm like, okay, maybe it's an actual thing. Like, is it like an actual fun thing? Like, can anybody just go to it?
Yeah, anyone can go. You don't have to be staying there. I like to think of it like, have you ever been to the Moxie's bar down in Southside?
I have not, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so like people go to that one when they don't stay there. It's just a rooftop bar that's attached to the hotel.
Yeah.
And it is really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely worth a visit. For sure. That's funny that you pass by it and question it. But yeah, it's a neat space, and it's really colorful and bright and fun, and they've got good drinks.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we pass by, because we'll go out there and I'll just be like, what is that? Like, why is there a rooftop bar on a hotel, on this random hotel? Like, I don't know. I always thought it was kind of funny.
It is a bit of a strange location too, just because it is in kind of the middle of like a shopping district, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really nice. I feel like it's a cool oasis in the middle of that area. That's a fun, neat place to check out.
Yeah.
So I like that place. I feel like most Chattanoogans would say, if you're in the Hamilton Place area, Trader Joe's.
Yes.
Because we did not have one for so long.
Yes. I wish it was closer.
I know. It opened last year though, and people were so excited.
Yes.
So I feel like most will tell you that. Also near the Aloft Hotel, which is where the WXYZ bar is another Mean Mug location.
Yes.
So Mean Mug is one of the local coffee shops here in town.
Yes.
And they recently expanded to a few other spots, one being out there in Hamilton Place. So I don't think there's a ton of like local coffee shops in that area, but that one is definitely a great local spot to check out. They've got great food, great drinks, so that's a cool one.
Yeah.
And then there's a big development out there in more of the East Ridge area than Hamilton Place. the Red Wolves Stadium.
Yeah. So I've never actually been. Funny enough, I've never been to a Red Wolves game. For the longest time, I did not know where the stadium was.
Yeah.
Like I'd heard about the Red Wolves and seen like the banners and like heard that they play at CHI Memorial Stadium, but I'm like, where is this stadium? Like I've been living here for almost 4 years. I haven't seen it. And then just the other day, where were we going? We were going down to Atlanta for a concert, and I was like, oh, there it is. It's right there.
Yeah. It's over in the Eastridge area, and they're trying to make it like a full mixed-use development where there will be shopping and apartments and food and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in the works right now. But the stadium is there.
Yeah.
And they've got the Red Wolves playing over there. So that's something cool. I went over into Eastridge a little,
It's
but
okay.
I kind of
No, that's fine.
think of them as similar.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So you talked about Eastridge. I'll give one thing for Eastridge and one for Hamilton Place. So I would highly recommend if you're in the Eastridge area, which it's kind of, I guess it's technically in the Eastridge area. If you're looking for food, I know we've talked about food a lot, but I'm just a big food fan. And there's a really good food scene here in Chattanooga. Have you ever been to Sugar's Ribs before?
Yeah.
Sugar's Ribs is fantastic.
That's a popular one.
It's an interesting spot because it's like right above the interstate. But if you sit, it's like got a really great view, especially around sunset. Like you get to see the whole outline of the city right in front of you. The food is great. Like if you're wanting barbecue, it's a great place to go. But yeah, it's a really interesting spot. Kind of unassuming to a degree because the area, it's not like in downtown where there's just like stuff happening all around. Like it's just kind of in this little neighborhood area up on the side of the mountain.
Yeah.
But you can't miss it if you drive out of Chattanooga. You will see the sign when you're driving out.
Yeah, you will.
But one place out in Hamilton Place, it's not a restaurant. Although I think you can buy like pastries and stuff there. But it's this relatively new plant shop, which I don't know if you may have heard about it. I think it's called Plant Candy Collective.
Plant Candy Collective.
Yes.
I'm glad you brought that up.
We stopped out there one time not too long ago. I forget how long after they opened it was. I don't have any plants, come to think of it at the moment. And not that I'm like anti-plant or anything. Like I don't know a lot about like, household plants or like I don't have really a lot of them. But we stopped in there and that was one of the coolest places. Like it was a really, really cool place. And it's not like, it's in this area where there's a lot of like chain brands. Like there's like right across the street, there's like a Best Buy and like there's all these big brands that you wouldn't expect this small little plant shop to be.
Yeah.
But that's a really cool spot, I think. Especially you can even go there like if you're just wanting to like study or get some coffee. Like they have all those options there, and I think it's a really cool spot.
Yes, it is. I'm so glad you brought that one up because I totally forgot about it.
Yeah.
But yes, that's a wonderful spot that opened a few months ago. And the owner's so sweet, and that spot is so cute. And like you said, it's a cool like local gem in the middle of some more chains. So yeah, that's a great spot.
Yeah. But yeah, that's one place I would definitely want to shout out because if you're looking for any kind of plant at all, I know especially some of my coworkers are like big plant people, like they love to just get a bunch of all kinds of house plants and stuff. Yeah. That is definitely the place to be. So we've talked about, we started with St. Elmo, then we moved to downtown. We talked a little bit about Lookout, the Lookout and Southside location. Then we finished with Hamilton Place and East Ridge. If you have let's say for instance, one of your friends is coming in from out of town and they can only stay a day. Like they're coming in tonight and they've got all day tomorrow to do whatever. What is like your full day? You got 1 day itinerary. And in this point, you can include everything. Like at this point, like I know we haven't talked about like the other side,
Right.
but I'll let Kristen do the same thing. Like you can include everything at this point. What's going to be like if you got to hit the high points, in your opinion, like what is going to be your day one or 1 day itinerary for your hypothetical friend from out of town?
Yeah, this is such a hard one, and this is annoying and.
I've tried to do this myself. Like I've tried to write it out like in my phone. Like what would I do if somebody came in? Like where am I gonna take them to first?
Yeah, this is a little annoying of an answer, but it depends
Yeah.
on what they like.
That's true. Yeah.
But assuming a very generalized
Yes.
plan.
Yeah.
Oh man, I mean, I feel like. All right, let's see. we'll start our day. I actually recently had a friend come into town, and we
nice.
kind of took him all around.
Yeah.
So I'll kind of go through what we did.
Yeah,
with him.
okay, that'd be great. That'll be great
For this answer. So we start the day at Milk and Honey over in North Shore.
The new location?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been there yet. Is it? I'm assuming it's pretty good.
So actually, they were there before.
Yeah.
And then closed, expanded a lot, and then reopened. Yeah. And that's also a Monin restaurant.
Yeah.
So it's delicious. It's awesome. The space is really, really cute. So I recommend checking it out. But yeah, so started our day there with breakfast and coffee. And then after that, we will head to a hike, actually the one I mentioned earlier, Craven's House to Sunset Rock. It's one of my favorites. It's not too long, so it's not too excruciatingly painful. Great views, and a really fun way, I think, to experience those like beautiful Chattanooga views, the ones that Chattanooga is so well known for. And the outdoor scene that we have here. So go on a hike, come back, grab lunch somewhere. I don't even remember where we grabbed lunch that day. But I'd probably go somewhere in Southside. Whether that be Kenny's or Taqueria Jalisco. Local Juicery is a really good place.
That is a good place.
Just a quick pick me up if you're wanting that. So one of those spots. Then after that, I know it's a tourist attraction, but listen. Tourist attractions are tourist attractions for a reason. Because they're awesome. So I take them to the aquarium. I think the aquarium is so cool here in Chattanooga.
It is really unique. Like if you've never been, it really is a unique place. Like and there, like you said, there is a reason why people visit it all the time. Like it's a really cool. I've been there multiple times over the years, and it's a really, really cool place. And it's one of the few freshwater aquariums that I know of. Which I think is really cool.
Salt, which is so cool. And the architecture of it is just amazing how they planned it out, like walking through. So I definitely recommend stopping by the aquarium too. And then after that, probably ending with dinner somewhere cool. I would probably take them for drinks at Unknown Color or Cherry Street Tavern, like I mentioned before. Maybe the Rose Comb, because that's a newer spot over in the Riverview area, which is really cute and fun and has good outdoor seating there. So that's probably what I do, but there's so much to do. It's such a hard question. I take them I need them to stay at least a week. That's why I wanted to try and boil it down to like, what are you going to do? Like if you've got one day, you're trying to make the most of it, you know? But yeah, no, I 100% agree with all of those picks. There's so many really cool places here in Chattanooga. Like I think Chattanooga is best experience, like you said, if you are allowed to stay. It's not best experience just in one day, you know. Like you have to stay if you're not from here. Like if you can stay for a week, like a full weekend or a week, like you can, or however long you want to stay, I suppose. It's best experience like over time, because there's a ton of just little gems and like hidden areas that you wouldn't expect to find that are fantastic. Like I know we've talked a lot about food, but one area in particular that I think is really cool is the area right outside and inside of Lil Mama's sandwich shop. Right off of not MLK. It's close to MLK. I forget the street that it's on. Square.
Yeah, it's on Patton Square. That area in particular. First off, there's some cool history because that's where like the first Coke bottle plant was, which is really cool. But just the inside, like walking into that shop feels like you've just walked onto the set of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Like it's the coolest place. And then just outside, like the Tomorrow building and just all the art pieces outside are really, really cool. And there's just so many small little places and little moments like that in Chattanooga that I think are just really unique and interesting.
And now I've just thought of like 10 other places that I'm like, why didn't I mention that? So, I mean, you could talk about all the cool spots in Chattanooga for forever. You really could. And I love that there's like I said, if I have a visitor, it depends on what they're into. But there's really something for everyone, whether they're into outdoors and the active scene or theater or arts or just food and drinks. I mean, there really is just something for everyone. History, too. I mean, there's just so many amazing things to experience in Chattanooga. You have to see it. It's just a wonderful place. So, man, I'm sorry to all the amazing businesses and spots I didn't mention. Well, there's too many.
No, it's okay. I mean, like I said, Chattanooga is a place that's best experienced over time. There's obviously some highlights you can hit. If you're only got one day, like you can hit some highlights. But man, it's it's like I mentioned for me, like when I really started to really enjoy and appreciate Chattanooga, it was over time. Like as I was here for school and I just started venturing out into the city just to see what was around, you know. It's a really cool place, and I 100% I think that it should be talked about more, and I think it's growing for a reason. You know, I think people are moving here, and it's growing because they've heard how awesome it is. And you talked about rankings a lot earlier. I don't know exactly the rankings, but I know that Chattanooga is a big, it's a big, a big favorite for like people that want to work from home or work remotely, because like it's got everything you could want. Pretty much like it's, you're not necessarily paying for like the big city price of like a New York or a like a Chicago or something like that. Nothing against those places, but you get to have like a cheaper standard of living here, but you still get all the amenities that you would hope to have living anywhere in the country. And so it's a great place. It really is, and I think it's awesome. So yeah, 100%. So before we finish up here, I know they said you got a place to be. We've been going for about an hour now, so I want to make sure make sure you get to wherever you need to go. But first and foremost, thank you for coming on here. I really, really appreciate it. It has definitely been a pleasure getting to meet you and chat with you for a little bit. A tradition that we've got to do on the show that I like to end things on a little bit of a different note than whatever we've been talking about prior is I like to do a segment that I've called 15 Quick Questions. And so these are going to be totally, some of them may be, these are all largely separate from what we've been talking about. So it's not like, there may be a few, there's a few in here that are related to things about Chattanooga, but most of these are just random questions. I've used some of these before, but these are all this or that questions. And so the point of this is I'm going to give you 15 questions. You just give me your gut answer for what you feel, either this one or that one, either A or B, and we'll just see what happens. And I want to eventually compare the answers between you and Kristen, because I'm going to have Kristen on eventually, and we'll get to do, part 2 of this whole series, but I want to compare the answers between the two of you. So anyways, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. This is 15 quick questions with Brianna. Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles.
Clumpies or ice cream show?
Clumpies.
Okay. Staying in or going out?
Going out.
Summer or winter?
Summer.
Guacamole or salsa? Movie marathon or TV marathon?
Movie marathon.
Crunchy or creamy peanut butter?
Creamy.
This one is something recent. Would you pick Riverbend or Moon River Festival?
Oh, Moon River.
Hot or iced coffee?
Iced.
70s, 80s, or 90s?
90s.
Oh, that one's nice. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Michael Jackson or Prince?
It's Prince Day. I gotta say Prince.
It is Prince. Oh my God, it is his birthday. Well, okay, that's fair.
Say Prince
that is
today.
fair. Today is his birthday. Yeah, happy birthday to Prince. I know he's not around anymore, but happy birthday to Prince. Tricycle, bicycle, or unicycle?
Oh, bicycle.
Fiction or nonfiction books?
Fiction.
And then this is the traditional 15th question that I like to ask everybody, and I want to hear your rationale for this one.
Okay.
Would you rather fight one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses? I want to hear your thought process with whatever your answer is.
One horse-sized duck.
Yes.
Because how the heck is a duck the size of a horse going to be able to waddle fast enough to catch me?
Well, see, this is I've heard different like answers for different people. Like I've heard one person say I would rather have the one horse-sized duck because it's just one thing. Like I can focus on, even though it's a big animal, like I can focus on just that one thing. And that they'll say like I'll get overwhelmed if there's 100 tiny little horses, but at the same time I've heard some people say like I could probably take on 100 little, like they're just these small little things, like I could take them on. And so I always want to like to hear the thought process for somebody, because it's a bit of a curveball, but I think it's a funny question.
What's your answer?
I haven't been asked this. Man, this interview is suddenly the tables have turned.
The tables have turned.
Man, for me, so I would have to agree. I think I would go one horse-sized duck, just because I don't know if I could take on 100 duck-sized horses, and I think I would just get overwhelmed by the sheer amount of them. Like I don't know what they would do to me, because like horses aren't like really like they're not like aggressive animals necessarily, but like I don't know what that would just be the thought of like 100 tiny little animals just surrounding me. I would just get very overwhelmed by all of
Yeah,
that.
quite honestly, that's terrifying.
So yeah, I guess if I had to pick one, I would go the one horse-sized duck. I think that would be my answer in this. So yeah, I haven't been asked that one before. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, again, so that's the 15 questions. So thank you for that. But yeah, before we wrap up here, again, thank you for coming on today. It's really been a pleasure getting to chat with you, and I was really looking forward to this, and I'm looking forward to speaking with Kristen here soon, and we'll get to do part 2 of kind of the traveler's guide to Chattanooga. But before we finish up here, I want to give you just the floor. If there's anything that you're working on, anybody you want to give a shout out to, anything in particular you want to promote or you want to plug. I know you talked a little bit about what you're doing with Nooga Today earlier, but the floor is yours. So yeah, go for it.
Man. Well, when is this coming out?
That's a good question. I don't exactly. So, do you need it out by a certain time? I can have it out sooner than.
No. It was just gonna influence my decision.
I'll say I'll have it out in wait. What is it's not July. I will have it out in July. So yeah, as of this recording, I know people will hear this after, but the first episode is going to go out actually next week.
How exciting!
So the first episode will be out next week, and I've got a couple lined up for that. But I'm going to try to put yours and Kristen's episode back to back, so people can listen to it that way. But I'll probably put it out in July next month if that makes any difference to whatever you were going to say.
That's great. Well, okay, I realized as I was asking, this wouldn't come out tomorrow anyways, so I don't even know why I asked. But the city and our city's new-ish Parks and Outdoors department is currently working on a 9-month parks plan. And
Really?
I actually just wrote about it today. It's going out in tomorrow's newsletter. But they're really seeking community input for this parks plan. Basically, they just want to improve the parks that we already have. They want to make Chattanooga's park scene as amazing as it can be. It's been like 14 to 20 years since we worked on our park scene here in Chattanooga. So I just want to take this moment to encourage everyone to do the online survey. At the very least, you can find it on the City of Chattanooga's, any of their social media pages. You can find it on Nooga Today, because I just wrote an article about it. Yeah, you can find it many places. So at least take the online survey if you can't make it to one of the community roundtable discussions taking place. The first one's happening tomorrow, but there will be more to come throughout the 9-month process. Because I talked to the head of the department, who is just an amazing guy. And he was saying that Chattanooga is such a cool place because if you care about something, you can really make a change here. You can make your voice heard and make a change. He wants to give people the opportunity to make their voice heard about this parks plan. So I encourage people to take that opportunity to tell them what you want in the parks. Parks are so important. Parks are amazing. So obviously I'm passionate about it, but I think that everyone should take part if they have the opportunity. So
nice.
That's my spiel.
Awesome. Well, I didn't know about that, so that's great. I'm definitely going to look into that more, and I'll be on the lookout for. I know that this episode will drop after your article as of the time of this recording, but I'm going to check it out tomorrow whenever it comes out. So be sure to check that out. Is there I think you said there was a link for it, or is there a link for it that people can use to find this? Is it a survey you said?
Yeah. It's an online survey. I don't know if you link things in the pot. I can send you a link. I can
put a link in the description of the episode.
I can send you the link. And then if you don't want to use the link, I don't know why you wouldn't. But you can also find it on the city's social media pages on Nooga Today's website. So there's many ways to find the link.
Sweet. Awesome. And you all on Nooga Today are on just Instagram, and I know you're on there just as at Nooga Today. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And are you on any other social media sites or anything like that?
So we're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, a little bit on Twitter, and then obviously our newsletter. Awesome. Cool. Well, I'll be sure I'll put links for those social media sites down in the description of the episode. So if you want to check out what Brianna's doing over at Nooga Today, then feel free to head down there and check it out. But yeah, if that's all you got, then I thank you again for coming on. It's really been a pleasure getting to chat with you today, and I hope everybody enjoyed this episode. And feel free to go check out what Brianna's got going on, and always remember to come visit Chattanooga. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I had a great time.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.